Let's walk on the wise path.
Have you ever struggled to communicate your ideas effectively? Whether you're trying to persuade someone to your point of view or simply trying to express yourself clearly, effective communication is a skill we all need in our personal and professional life. In this video, we'll explore the teachings of Aristotle, one of the greatest thinkers in history, and his 5 ways to communicate effectively. 1. Use logical arguments. Have you ever found yourself struggling to communicate your ideas effectively? Whether you're trying to persuade someone to your point of view or simply trying to express yourself clearly, effective communication is a skill we all need in our personal and professional lives. In this video, we'll explore the teachings of Aristotle, one of the greatest thinkers in history, and his 5 ways to communicate effectively. One of the most effective ways to communicate effectively is to use logical arguments. Aristotle believed that the most persuasive arguments were those that were logically sound. To be effective in your communication, you need to use reasoning and evidence to support your claim. This means that you need to take the time to research and gather data that supports your argument. Once you have the evidence, use it to construct a logical argument that leads your audience to your conclusion. But what makes a logical argument? A logical argument is one that is based on facts and evidence. It is not enough to simply state your opinion. You need to back it up with data. This data can come from a variety of sources, including research studies, surveys, or your own observation. The key is to use reliable sources that are credible and trustworthy. When constructing your argument, it's important to organize your thoughts in a logical way. Start with a clear thesis statement that outlines your main point. Then use supporting evidence to back up your thesis. Make sure that each piece of evidence is relevant and supports your point. Finally, conclude with a summary of your argument and a call to action. Remember, a logical argument is not just about presenting facts and evidence. It's also about presenting them in a way that is clear and easy to understand. Use simple language and avoid technical jargon. Break down complex concepts into smaller, more manageable pieces. This will make it easier for your audience to follow your argument and come to the same conclusion as you. To make a logical argument, you need to take the time to research and gather data that supports your argument. Once you have the evidence, use it to construct a logical argument that leads your audience to your conclusion. Organize your thoughts in a logical way, starting with a clear thesis statement that outlines your main point. Use supporting evidence to back up your thesis, making sure that each piece of evidence is relevant and supports your point. Finally, conclude with a summary of your argument and a call to action. 2. Establish credibility. Establishing credibility is a crucial component of effective communication. It's not enough to simply present your ideas or arguments. You need to show your audience that you have the knowledge, experience, and credentials to back them up. One way to establish credibility is by citing your credentials. If you have a degree or certification in the field you are speaking about, be sure to mention it. This will show your audience that you have a solid foundation in the subject matter. However, don't rely solely on your credentials to establish credibility. Sharing your personal experience is another effective way to establish credibility. If you have worked in the industry or have personal experience with the topic, share those experiences with your audience. This will make your message more relatable and help you connect with your audience on a deeper level. By doing so, you can offer valuable insights and show your audience that you have a deep understanding of the subject matter. Providing examples of your work is also an effective way to establish credibility. If you have published research or have completed successful projects related to your topic, share those examples with your audience. This will help them see the real-world impact of your work and the credibility you have built up in your field. When your audience sees that you have the knowledge, experience, and credentials to back up your ideas, they are more likely to trust and take your message seriously. Establishing credibility is not just about proving your expertise, but also about building a relationship of trust with your audience. When they see that you are credible, they are more likely to engage with you and listen to what you have to say. Remember, credibility is not just about what you say, but also about how you say it. So be confident, passionate, and authentic in your communication, and watch your credibility soar. By establishing credibility, you can create a connection with your audience and persuade them to take action. In order to establish credibility, it's important to be honest and transparent with your audience. Don't exaggerate your credentials or experience, and don't present false or misleading information. If you make a mistake, own up to it and correct it. This will show your audience that you are trustworthy and committed to providing accurate information. Another important aspect of establishing credibility is to be consistent in your messaging. If you present conflicting information or change your message frequently, your audience will become confused and lose trust in you. Make sure that your message is clear and consistent throughout your communication. Finally, it's important to remember that establishing credibility is an ongoing process. You need to maintain your credibility by continuing to build your knowledge and experience, and by staying up to date with the latest developments in your field. By doing so, you can continue to establish yourself as a trusted authority and effective communicator. Establishing credibility is a crucial component of effective communication. By citing your credentials, sharing your experience, and providing examples of your work, you can show your audience that you are knowledgeable and experienced in your field. By being honest, transparent, and consistent in your messaging, you can build trust with your audience and persuade them to take action. Remember, credibility is not just about what you say, but also about how you say it. So be confident, passionate, and authentic in your communication, and watch your credibility soar. 3. Use emotional appeal. In order to truly connect with your audience, it's important to use emotional appeals in your communication. While logical arguments are certainly important in effective communication, Aristotle recognized that they may not always be enough to persuade people. Emotions play a powerful role in decision-making, and connecting with your audience on an emotional level is essential for effective communication. One of the most effective ways to use emotional appeals in your communication is through storytelling. Sharing personal stories or anecdotes can help create a connection with your audience, as it allows them to see your human side. When you share your struggles and triumphs, your audience can relate to you on a deeper level and feel more invested in your message. Storytelling is an art form that has been used for centuries to convey important messages, and it's just as relevant today as it was in the past. Another way to use emotional appeals is to focus on the benefits of your message. When your audience sees how your message can improve their lives or contribute to a cause they care about, they are more likely to emotionally invest in it. By demonstrating how your message aligns with their values and desires, you can create a sense of shared purpose that motivates them to take action. People are more likely to be interested in something that will directly benefit them, so it's important to emphasize the positive impact your message can have. Finally, using examples that inspire your audience can also be an effective way to connect with them emotionally. By highlighting individuals or groups who have achieved success or overcome adversity, you can create a sense of hope and possibility that inspires your audience to act. People are often motivated by the success of others, and by showcasing examples of people who have achieved great things, you can inspire your audience to believe that they can achieve great things too. Remember, effective communication is not just about presenting facts and arguments. It's about connecting with your audience on an emotional level and creating a sense of shared purpose and community. By using emotional appeals like storytelling, highlighting the benefits of your message, and inspiring your audience with examples, you can connect with your audience in a deeper way and persuade them to take action. Incorporating emotional appeals into your communication can be challenging, but it's a skill that can be learned and developed over time. By practicing and experimenting with different techniques, you can become a more effective communicator and connect with your audience on a deeper level. So, start incorporating emotional appeals into your communication today and watch your message resonate with your audience like never before. Emotional appeals are a critical component of effective communication. By using storytelling, highlighting the benefits of your message, and inspiring your audience with examples, you can connect with your audience on an emotional level and persuade them to take action. Remember, people are motivated by emotions, and if you want to truly connect with your audience, you need to tap into those emotions. So start incorporating emotional appeals into your communication today and watch your message resonate with your audience like never before. 4. Use clear and concise language. Clear and concise language is essential for effective communication. When we use jargon or technical terms that our audience may not understand, we risk losing their attention and interest. To truly connect with our audience, we need to use simple, straightforward language that is easy to follow. But using clear language is not just about choosing the right words. It's also about organizing our thoughts and ideas in a logical structure that makes sense to our audience. When we present our message in a way that is easy to follow, we make it easier for our audience to remember and act on our ideas. One way to ensure that our message is clear and concise is to start with a clear thesis statement. This statement should outline the main point of our message and serve as a guide for the rest of our communication. From there, we can use supporting evidence and examples to back up our thesis and make our message more compelling. When using examples to support our message, it's important to choose ones that are relevant and easy to understand. We should also avoid using too many examples, as this can overwhelm our audience and dilute our message. Instead, we should focus on a few key examples that illustrate our point and help our audience connect with our message. Another way to ensure that our message is clear and concise is to use visuals. Visuals can help break up text and make our message more engaging. They can also help our audience understand complex ideas more easily. When using visuals, we should choose ones that are relevant and easy to understand. We should also avoid using too many visuals, as this can distract from our message. We should practice our communication to ensure that it is clear and concise. This means rehearsing our message and getting feedback from others. By practicing our communication, we can identify areas that need improvement and make adjustments before we deliver our message to a larger audience. Remember, clear and concise language is essential for effective communication. By using simple, straightforward language, organizing our thoughts in a logical structure, using relevant examples and visuals, and practicing our communication, we can deliver a message that resonates with our audience and inspires them to take action. When we speak or write, it's important to remember that our audience may not have the same level of expertise or knowledge as we do. Using technical terms or industry jargon may make us sound smart, but it can also make our message confusing and difficult to understand. By simplifying our language and breaking down complex ideas into smaller, more manageable pieces, we can make our message more accessible to our audience. A clear thesis statement is also crucial for effective communication. This statement should outline the main point of our message and serve as a guide for the rest of our communication. From there, we can use supporting evidence and examples to back up our thesis and make our message more compelling. When choosing examples, it's important to select ones that are relevant and easy to understand. Too many examples can overwhelm our audience and dilute our message, so it's important to focus on a few key ones. Visuals can also be a helpful tool for clear and concise communication. They can break up text and make our message more engaging. Visuals can also help our audience understand complex ideas more easily. When choosing visuals, it's important to select ones that are relevant and easy to understand. Too many visuals can distract from our message, so it's important to use them sparingly. Finally, practice is key to clear and concise communication. By rehearsing our message and getting feedback from others, we can identify areas that need improvement and make adjustments before we deliver our message to a larger audience. Practicing our communication helps us become more familiar with our material and more comfortable with our delivery. It also helps us identify filler words, awkward pauses, and unclear language that we can work on to improve our communication skills. Remember, clear and concise language is essential for effective communication. By using simple, straightforward language, Organizing our thoughts in a logical structure, using relevant examples and visuals, and practicing our communication, we can deliver a message that resonates with our audience and inspires them to take action. So start incorporating these principles into your communication today and watch your message resonate with your audience like never before. 5. Practice communicating. Aristotle believed that practice was the key to effective communication. The more you communicate, the better you become at it. At first glance, this may seem like common sense, but it's something that many of us overlook. We assume that if we're not naturally good communicators, then there's no hope for us. But that's simply not true. The truth is that communication is a skill that can be learned and developed over time, and the best way to do that is through practice. When we think about practicing our communication skills, we often imagine standing in front of a mirror and rehearsing a speech or presentation. While this is certainly one way to practice, it's not the only way. Communicating effectively also means being able to listen actively, respond thoughtfully, and adapt to different audiences and situations. One way to practice active listening is to engage in conversations with others. Listen carefully to what they say, ask questions if you need clarification, and try to understand their perspective. By doing so, you'll not only improve your listening skills, but you'll also learn how to respond thoughtfully and communicate your own ideas more effectively. Another way to practice communicating is to seek out opportunities to speak in front of others. This could be as simple as volunteering to give a presentation at work or school, or it could involve joining a public speaking group or club. By putting yourself in situations where you need to communicate effectively, you'll learn how to manage your nerves, use your body language to convey confidence, and adapt to different audiences. But practicing your communication skills goes beyond just speaking and listening. It also involves being able to adapt your communication style to different situations and audiences. For example, the way you communicate with your friends may be very different from the way you communicate with your boss or colleagues. By practicing your ability to adapt to different situations, you'll become a more versatile and effective communicator. Ultimately, the key to practicing your communication skills is to be consistent and intentional. Set aside time each day to work on your skills, whether it's by listening to a podcast on effective communication, practicing active listening with a friend, or recording yourself giving a presentation. The more you practice, the more comfortable and confident you'll become in your ability to communicate effectively. Remember, effective communication is a skill that can be learned and developed over time. Aristotle believed that practice was the key to effective communication, and he was right. By practicing your communication skills, you'll not only become a more effective communicator, but you'll also become more confident and self-assured in all areas of your life. Practicing communication skills is the key to becoming a more effective communicator. It involves not only rehearsing speeches and presentations, but also actively listening, adapting to different audiences, and being intentional in your communication. By consistently practicing your communication skills, you'll not only become a more effective communicator, but you'll also become more confident and self-assured in all areas of your life. Aristotle's 5 ways to communicate effectively are logical arguments, establishing credibility, emotional appeals, clear and concise language, and practice. By incorporating these principles into your communication, you'll be able to connect with your audience and persuade them to your point of view. Remember, effective communication is a skill that can be learned and developed over time. So start practicing today and watch your communication skills soar